Hello friends, welcome back to csap.net online training. In today's session, I'm going to discuss abstract class and abstract method in C#. Actually, I have divided this topic into three sections. I mean, into three videos. In today is the first video, and in today I'm going to discuss the concept abstract class and abstract method. What is abstract class? What is abstract method? How to create abstract method? How to create abstract class? What are the things you can do with abstract class? And what are the things you cannot do with abstract classes? All these things today I'm going to discuss. In the next video, what I'm going to discuss, in interview you will get lots of questions related to this abstract class and abstract method. So in the next video, I'm going to discuss more than 20 interview questions related to this abstract class and abstract method. And in third video, I'm going to discuss how to use this concept in real-time application development. That is how to use abstract class and abstract method, and when you need to go for abstract class and abstract method in your real-time application development, and that we'll discuss by taking one real-time example. Right? So let's start today's video. So first question is, what are abstract methods? A method without body is known as abstract method. As of now, what we have discussed, we are creating a method and we are creating a method with body. You can see this is the method definition, right? So this is nothing but your method declaration, and this is nothing but your method definition, and this is nothing but your concrete method, or you can say it's a normal method. So what is abstract method? Now abstract method means a method without body. Whenever you are creating a method without body, then you can say that that method is an abstract method. What the method contains? It contains only the declaration part. That means the abstract method contains only declaration, no implementation, no body, right? So the following method signature, you can see this is the method signature, and this method signature contains the body. That means it is not an abstract method. Then what is this? This is a non-abstract method. Non-abstract method you can also term as a concrete method. Whenever you are creating a method with body, then you can say that method as a concrete method, right? But without writing the body, if we end the method with a semicolon, right? So you can see this signature. This method, I'm not writing the body, I'm not providing the implementation part, rather I'm ending this method with a semicolon, right? Whenever you end the method with a semicolon without its implementation, then you can say that method as abstract method. So this is an abstract method. But remember, the most important point that you need to remember is, if you want to make any method as abstract method, then you should explicitly use the abstract modifier, right? We have discussed, we have lots of modifiers like abstract, static, public, private, protected, virtual, override. All these are modifiers, right? But if you want to create an abstract method, then you need to use the abstract modifier. This is the method with the only declaration. But if you want one abstract method, then you have to use the abstract keyword. So this is mandatory. Without using abstract keyword, you cannot declare the method only, right? So if you create a method, if you declare a method by using the abstract keyword, then that method automatically turned as an abstract method. So this is nothing but your abstract method, and this is the signature. You can consider this is the signature of creating abstract method, right? Abstract method, simply you can say method without body, right? Now, then what are abstract classes? Come to the second point. A class under which we define abstract methods is known as abstract class, right? As of now, we have discussed so many classes, right? As part of classes, we have defined concrete methods, right? But if at all your class contains any abstract method, you can see this is an abstract method. And if your class contains any abstract method, then it is mandatory to create the class by using the abstract modifier, right? And whenever you create a class by using the abstract modifier, then that class will be termed as an abstract class, right? So the point that you need to remember, a class under which we define abstract methods is known as abstract modifier. As for object-oriented programming, we need to define a method inside a body, inside a class, and we cannot define abstract method directly anywhere. We need to define the abstract method inside the abstract class only, right? This is the point that you need to remember. You cannot define this abstract method anywhere, right? You can define this abstract method only inside an abstract class. right? So when a class contains any abstract method, then it is mandatory, it is compulsory to declare that class as abstract method, right? So you can see this is the abstract method. And once this class contains the abstract method, then it is mandatory to make the class as abstract. But it is not mandatory that if you create a class as abstract, then it is not mandatory to declare the method as abstract, right? Inside an abstract method, you can create only non-abstract method, right? Inside an abstract class, you can declare only non-abstract method, that is fine. But if you are creating an abstract method, then it is mandatory to make the class as abstract. We'll come to this point later so that you will get some better clarity, right? So generally, when we define an abstract method, we have a doubt, right? What is the doubt? Without a method body, what will be the use of that method, right? You can see this is one method, right? This is an abstract method. And if I am not providing this method implementation, if I am creating the method without a body, then what is the use of this method? That is the point, and that is the question that we need to discuss. Let us understand. What is the use of abstract method? If a method is declared as abstract under any class means definitely it is going to be an abstract class, then the child class of that abstract class is responsible for implementing the abstract method without fail. What it means, now whenever you declared a abstract method inside a abstract class, then the child class of that abstract class is going to provide implementation for all the abstract methods that are defined in your class without fail. Without fail means it's mandatory. It's compulsory to provide implementation for all the abstract method inside the child class. See, in inheritance concept, we see that parent class provides some properties to the child class for consumption. In parent class, we define some properties, we define some method, data member variable, right? And all those member variable data or all those methods are going to be consumed by the child classes. And whenever you are using abstract classes concept, this is also by inheritance only, right? But the point that you need to remember is the parent class is an abstract class. In the earlier example, we see that is a class, and the class having some data member properties, and those data member and properties are going to be consumed by the child class. But in this case, it is not a concrete class. In this case, it is a abstract class. And he will not providing any properties to the child class for consumption. Abstract class not providing any member or properties for consumption by the child class. Rather, it imposes some restriction on the child classes. It provides some condition to the child classes, right? Hey, child classes, if you want to consume my non-abstract method, then first of all, you have to implement the abstract method. That is the condition, right? And the child classes have to follow and fulfill those restrictions. Until and unless the child class not providing implementation to the abstract methods, then the child class cannot consume the non-abstract method, right? That is the basic idea behind the abstract class. We'll come to this point later so that you will get more clarity, right? Every abstract method declared within an abstract class must and should be implemented by the child classes without else we'll get compile time error. So it is mandatory for the child class to provide implementation to the all the abstract method of the abstract class. Now, is abstract class containing only abstract method? No, it is not mandatory that the abstract class is going to contain only abstract method. So you can consider the abstract class as a semi-implemented class. Semi-implemented class, or what do you mean by semi-implemented class? Semi-implemented class means the abstract class contains both abstract method as well as a concrete method. Concrete method means method with implementation. Abstract method means method without implementation, right? So it can contain some of the method which are implemented. It can also contain some of the method which are not implemented. That means it contains both abstract and non-abstract methods, right? Then if the abstract class contain both abstract and non-abstract method, then who is going to provide implementation to the abstract method? Obviously, the child class only, na? If you have a child class of an abstract class, then it is the responsibility of the child class to provide implementation or to provide body to all the abstract method of the parent class. You cannot escape. This is a law. This is mandatory. It is mandatory that every abstract method should be implemented by the child classes only. If you implement all the abstract method, then only you can consume the non-abstract method of the parent class. See, the parent class contains both abstract and non-abstract method, right? Non-abstract means concrete method. Concrete method body is already there, right? If you want to use those if you want to use those concrete method from your child class, right? Then first of all, your child class need to provide implementation to the non-implemented method. Until and unless you are not providing implementation to the abstract method, then you cannot consume the non-abstract method, right? Generally, what we show in inheritance is that the child class can directly consume the member of the parent class, right? But here, this is not possible. You cannot consume directly all the member of the parent class. The property under is restriction. In this case, whatever the property is defined inside the abstract class is under restriction. What restriction means? Until and unless those restrictions are not fulfilled by the child classes, the child class cannot consume the member of the parent class, right? So the point that you need to remember is in the child class, you need to implement each and every abstract method of the parent class, and then only you can consume the non-abstract method of the parent class. Let us understand this with one real-time example, right? Suppose one father promised to his son that if you bring 90% mark in the annual exam, then you will be rewarded with a laptop. So the laptop is going to be given to the child only if he bring 90% in the annual exam. Now, if the son wants to get the laptop, then the son has to fulfill the requirement set by his father, yes or no? Right? What is the requirement? The requirement is achieving 90% mark in the annual exam. Once the son fulfills the requirement, that is, once the son achieves 90% mark in the annual exam, then the laptop is going to be given to him, right? Until then, the laptop will not be given to the child. So this is nothing but abstraction, right? This is nothing but abstract class, right? So abstract class contains both abstract and non-abstract. You can consider the abstract method in this case as marks obtained on the annual exam and the non-abstract method as the laptop, right? So if you want to get the laptop, right, to consume the non-abstract method, then you need to fulfill the requirement, that is get 90% mark in the annual exam, that is implement all the abstract method. To define a method as an abstract method or to define a class as an abstract class, we need to use the abstract modifier, right? So we have discussed lots of theory, right? Now let us proceed and understand abstract class and abstract method with some real-time or some practical examples, right? So let me copy this code, right? So you can see, okay, so you can see, okay. So this is one class. This is the class name is ABS parent, and you can see inside this class, I'm declaring some of the method with implementation. This add method is with implementation. This sub method with its implementation. But for the small and deep, I ended these two methods with semicolon, and I'm providing abstract keyword. Now, if you look at this, if I'm removing abstract keyword, then you will get one error. What error it's saying? Now, appear in must declare a body because it is not marked as abstract, external, or partial, right? If you are not providing implementation to a method, then you need to declare the method as abstract, external, or partial. What is external and what is partial, we will discuss later. But currently, we are keep focusing on abstract. So, if you are providing, if you are just declaring a body, right, then it is mandatory to declare the method as abstract. And further, right, as this class contains one abstract uh, this class contains some abstract method, then it is mandatory to provide the method, it is mandatory to declare the method with the abstract keyword. So what is saying, ABS parent is abstract, but it is content in a non-abstract class ABS parent. So what error it is saying that this method is abstract, but it is content in a non-abstract class. So in a non-abstract class, you cannot declare this abstract method. So what is mandatory? You need to declare the method as mandatory. But it is not mandatory. See, if I am commenting these two statements, what it means, if I'm not declaring any abstract method, then I'm not getting error. Na? So what it means, na, declaring an abstract class, abstract method is optional when your class contains only non-abstract method, right? If your class contains only non-abstract method, whether you declare the class as abstract or not, that doesn't matter, right? So if you declare, no issue. If you are not declaring abstract, then also no issue. But what? Now, if your class, right? But if your class contains any abstract, but if your class contains any abstract method, then it is mandatory to declare the class as abstract. So this is the point that you need to remember, right? And you can say this method is without body, and as this method is without body, so we can say this is an abstract method. And as this ABS parent class contains some abstract method, then it is mandatory to declare the class as abstract. Now, can we create an instance of the abstract class in C Sharp? No, we cannot create an instance of the abstract class. So, right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm creating a class. I'm creating a class called the program, right? I'm creating a class called the program, right? And inside this program class, I'm creating one main method, static void main method, right? And inside this main method, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create an instance. ABS parent, right, equals to new. See, I'm not getting any intelligence because this ABS parent is not accepted, right? So if you are trying to create an instance, you'll get some compile time error. See, what is the compile time error? You cannot create an instance of the abstract class or interface, right? So the compiler saying that this ABS parent is either an abstract class or an interface, right? And in this case, it is an interface, and you cannot create an instance of the abstract class, right? So you can see, no, can we create an instance of the abstract class? No, you cannot create an instance of the abstract class. Whether the abstract class contains any abstract method or not, it is not possible to create an instance of the abstract class. If you try, you will get some compile time error, right? So now one more point that you need to remember, it doesn't matter. What? It doesn't matter whether your abstract class contains any abstract or method or not. In this case, you can see this abstract class contains only two non-abstract methods. This class doesn't have any abstract method. But even though the class contains only non-abstract method, as this is an abstract class, you cannot create an instance. This is the point that you need to remember. You can see in the above image, it is clearly saying that you cannot create an instance of the abstract class, and this makes sense. Why? Because it is, if it allows us to create an instance, suppose, for example, see the compiler allow, yeah, see that the compiler allows to create an instance, right? And we are able to create, suppose we create this instance. Then once you create this instance, then using this instance, we can call this small method, right? We can call this small method or not. And if we are calling this small method, then at runtime, the CLR is trying to execute this method definition or not, but there is no definition. Then what the CLR is going to execute? If method is there, but definition is not there, then at runtime, what method, what the CLR is going to execute? It is not going to execute anything. There is nothing to execute. This is the reason why it is not allowing to create an instance of the abstract class at the compilation time itself. Compiler is going to throw you some compile time error. Forget about the runtime, right? Compiler is going to throw you error so that you cannot create an instance of the abstract class, and there is no chance to execute any abstract method at runtime, right? Currently the abstract class doesn't have any static member. If there are any static member, you can call them directly using the class tag. But for calling non-static member, we need require an instance. See, at this point, suppose your class contains some static member. Let me create one static method. So public static void some method, right? If the class contains any static method, let me print one statement, right? Statement. What statement I'm printing? I'm printing static, right? If the class contains some static method, then you can call that method by using the class. That is fine because it's a static method. Instance is not required, right? But for non-static method, it is mandatory to create an instance, right? So in this case, you can see, you can execute the statement, and you can see that static method is going to be print on the console window. So static method is there. Yes, it is fine. Object is not required, and you can invoke them by using the classroom. That is, we have already discussed, right? Suppose there is a child class for the above parent class, then the child class to implement the mol and deep abstract method before consuming the up and soft method, right? For example, right? So, for example, I'm creating another class. I'm creating class ABS child, and this class is implementing ABS parent, right? In this case, you can see I'm getting two compilation error. What are these? The ABS child doesn't implement inherited abstract method multiplication abs.mol, and also this class doesn't implement the abstract method abs parent. That means now it is mandatory for the child class to provide implementation for these two methods. Until and unless you are not providing implementation, you will get this error. Now I hope you understand why I'm getting this error. We are getting this error because we are not providing implementation to these two methods, right? Here we are getting two error, one for not implementing the parent class deep method and another for not implementing the parent class small method. That means it is mandatory for the child class to provide implementation for all the abstract method of the parent class. Why abstract now? Now you might be one question. Why abstract class cannot be instantiated? We have already discussed now, because it is not a fully implemented class, as it abstract methods cannot be executed, right? Suppose compiler allows to create an instance of this class, right? Then at runtime the CLR trying to execute this method, but the body of this method is not available now, because this is not a fully implemented class. It is a unimplemented class, you can say it's a partial implemented class. Some of the method are implemented, but some of the methods are not implemented. Then if I'm able to create an instance, then using that instance, I can call this method. Yes, the body is available, it will execute. The body is available for some which execute, but the body of these two methods are not available. Then what will happen? Then what the CLR will going to do, right? This is the reason why compiler not allowing us to create an instance of this abstract class, as it is a partial implemented class, right? Now, let us implement the two abstract method inside the child class. How the implement the abstract method means we are override. Okay, this is how to implement, right? How to implement. So we have discussed. Okay. The question is, we have declared these two method as abstract. The point is how we can implement the abstract method inside the child class. The answer is by using the override modifier. Now, if you go now abstract class, right? So you can see this is the mol method, this is the mol method. The signature is going to be same. What is the difference? Instead of abstract, we need to use the override keyword, and this is the same deep method. You can see public abstract void integer xy public. Instead of abstract, we are using override. So basically by using override, we can modify the, by using the override, we can implement the abstract methods, right? So the complete example code is given below. Let me copy the complete code and then I will show you the example, right? So this is your parent abstract class. This class having two implemented methods and two unimplemented method, or you can say abstract method. The child class inheriting or implement this abstract class, and this abstract class having four methods, right? Two are implemented and two are unimplemented. If the child class wants to consume this method, then first of all he needs to fulfill the requirement set by this ABS parent class. What requirement this ABS class set? Now, hey child class, you want to consume these two member? Yes, you can consume, but before consuming, you need to provide implementation to this method. Now the child class take the responsibility, and the child class provide implementation for the two unimplemented method, or you can say for the two abstract method, right? Once the child class implements the abstract method, now the child class can consume these two methods which are defined in the abstract class, as well as the two method which is implemented in the child class, right? And one more thing, how you are going to override or how you are going to implement the abstract method means you are going to use the override modifier, right? Now from the main method, we are creating an instance of the child class, and we are calling all the child class, all the methods, right? These two methods are implemented by the child class, and these two methods are implemented in the abstract class. Now if you run the application and you will get the output as expected, right? Now let's see the output. Yes, you can see addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and it is going to perform the respective operations as expected, right? So this is how you can create, right? But one more point. Can we create the reference for the abstract class? Yes. Yes, we can create a reference for the abstract class, but we cannot create an instance of the abstract class, right? For better understanding, you can see. See here, this is nothing but your child class instance. And what I'm doing, I'm referring this child class instance to a parent class reference variable. So in this example, so this is your child class instance. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating a reference of the parent class, ABS parent, right? ABS parent, and I'm initializing this parent class reference variable with the child class object, right? This is a possible, right? And in this case, you can invoke this method as well as you can also invoke this method using the parent reference, right? You can see I'm invoking the all the methods, right? That is also fine. In this case, all the methods are going to be executed, right? See, all the methods are going to be executed. So using parent reference, I can also invoke the method. But the point that you need to remember, what? Now using parent reference, you cannot invoke pure child class methods, right? What do you mean by pure child class method? Let me define some another method. So what I'm trying to do, I'm defining one method, right? I'm defining one method called a mod, right? So what I'm doing, I'm doing this modulus of this. So this method is a pure child class member, right? And the parent doesn't have any idea about this method. Parent have idea about this small and deep because the signature is defined in the parent class only, right? Parent only telling to the child classes, hey child class, you need to provide implementation to small method and deep method only, right? But parent have no idea about the mode method. So these are not pure child class member, right? Because this member signature is defined inside the parent class, but this is a pure child class. Why? Because this signature is not defined inside the parent class, right? Parent class have no idea what method you have defined in your class. Parent have idea about these two methods because parent only providing some restriction. Parent only telling you to provide implementation to these two methods. You are providing implementation, so parent know what are the methods you can consume, right? So, but the parent have no idea about this mode method. So using this child class reference variable, you can call that mode method, right? You can call that mode method, but using this ABS parent div, right? You cannot call the mode method. Now, if you try to call, you will get some error, right? So see, we are getting some error. What error? Now this IPS parent doesn't contain a definition for mode and no accessible extension, right? So what means that in this absent parent class, there is no such method mode is defined. See what exactly happened. See, whenever we are trying to execute the method, two things are happening. One is compilation time, what is the compiler is doing, and at the runtime, what is CLR is doing, right? Also, whenever we are trying to build this application, or whenever we are trying to compile this application, the compiler will check what method you are calling. You are calling add, sub, mol, div, and mode. So what the compiler will do, compiler will check what is the type of this reference variable. The reference variable type is ABS style. So it will link this add method with this class. So it will check in this class, is there any add method? Yes. So make a, so it will link that method definition with this method call. In this add ABS child class, is there any method sub? Yes, available. Make the link with the method definition, right? So in this case, what you will do, it will come to the child class for the add method. So in child class, is there any add method? No, it is not available. So it will go to the parent class. In parent class, add method is available. Yes, available. So make a link for this method call with that method definition. The same thing will become for sub method. It will come to this class. Sub method is available inside child class. No, it is not available. Go to the parent class. Yes, parent class method is available. So make a link to that some method definition. So small method and div method, it will come to the child class. Yes, small and div method are available. So the compiler will link this method call with the method definition. Now mode method. Come to the ABS child class. Yes, mode method is available. Yes, available. Please make a link to that method definition. Now come to ABS parent. So ABS parent, it will check this add sub mul div, all these four method call with the method defined in the parent class. In parent class, yes, method signature is there, method declaration is there, method mol declaration is there, method div declaration is there, right? It is not checking whether that method is implemented or not, but method definition is method signature is there, right? Method is declared, that is fine. So it is going to make a link to this method call, right? But when it come to the parent class, it will check for the mode method. But in parent class, do you have any mode method? No, mode method is not there. So compilation error, right? And at runtime, what the compiler will going to do? At runtime, the compiler no compiler. At runtime, CLR come to picture. CLR will check what is the object this variable is holding and what is the type. The type of the object is ABS child. Then this method are going to be executed from the child class only, right? So first it will come to the child class. If the method definition is available in the child class, then it will execute that definition. And if that definition is not available in child class, then it will go to the parent class and execute those method definition. This is how the execution and compilation takes place, right? So the important point that you need to remember is parent class references, even if created by using child class instance, cannot call child class members provided the members are purely defined inside the child class. In this case, you can see this is the parent class reference variable. Even though this parent class reference variable created by using this child class instance, right? Using this child class instance, then also he cannot call the pure child class member. That is the member which are purely defined inside the child class. And if you try, then you will get this compilation error. This is what he is mentioning, right? So what we discussed. Say a method that doesn't have a body is called abstract method, and the class that is declared by using the keyword abstract is called abstract class. If a class contains an abstract method, then it must be declared as abstract. Second point is that an abstract class can contain both abstract and non-abstract method. You can see this is an abstract class contain both abstract and non-abstract methods, right? If a child class of an abstract class wants to consume any non-abstract method of its parent, it should implement all the abstract method of the parent. So you can see this is the child class, and if the child class wants to consume these two methods, then first of all he needs to provide implementation to these two method. That is what we are showing. An abstract class is never usable to itself because we cannot create the object of the abstract class. See, you cannot create an instance. So you cannot create an instance of the abstract class. That means it is unusable by itself, right? So abstract class cannot be instantiated, right? You cannot instantiate an abstract class. Then what is the use? The members of an abstract class can be consumed only by the child class of the abstract class. Who is the child class of this abstract class? This is the child class, right? By using the child class instance, you can consume the member of the parent class, right? This is what we have discussed in today's section, right? And in the next video, what I'm going to discuss, I'm going to discuss 20 frequently asked interview questions related to this abstract class and abstract method. Thank you for watching this video.